and Reg. Today we're doing a
Yo.
special discussion about the late great Old Dirty Bastard. Passed away like 20 years ago. I can't believe it's been 20 years already. It's crazy. And when you see this, it's gonna be his birthday tomorrow, November 15th. And I had the opportunity to see ODB live in concert with Wu Tang in '96 in Harlem, and he was crazy to say the least. And I remember like they were performing, and he had a fight with like somebody in the front row of that
Oh
concert.
shit.
It was crazy, and they had to get security and everything. But he was great. I definitely loved his album, Return of 36 Chambers, classic album. Y'all gotta definitely, if you never heard this, check this out. One of the best album intros ever, and the sequencing and RZA's dirty production. And when you hear joints like Shimmy Shimmy Ya and Brooklyn Zoo, Raw Hide, which was also, I believe that was also on the Tales from the Hood soundtrack,
Yeah.
and just a great, phenomenal debut that nobody talks about. To me, top five Wu solo albums. And I just wanted to do like a top five ODB features that I don't really hear nobody mention. Because he did a lot of features with people. Some pop stars, some underground cats. And I'm gonna start it off with the fifth. My number five pick is it's a joint that was unreleased that I used to hear on the mixtapes in like the 2000s, 2010s. It was called Where Is Your Money with Busta
Ooh.
B. And I don't know what album that was for. Maybe that was for Back on My Bullshit or Year the Dragon, but I remember hearing it on the mixtapes and the beat was fire. And that's not the first time they collaborated. They did the Wuha remix for Busta's first solo album to come in, which it wasn't on the coming, but that was a dope joint. I think Dilla did the remix for that, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah.
yeah, so Where's Your Money? I love the beat for that, and ODB was just in the zone in his pocket on that joint. Definitely look for that on YouTube because it's not on no album. I don't know why it was unreleased, but I think Busta at some point needs to release it properly. Maybe as a bonus cut on one of his future albums. But that's my number five joint.
Okay, bet. My number five, I gotta go with a fucking classic, Master Killer's Old Man from the No Set Date album.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? And we need to talk about No Set Date at some point because
for sure.
underrated Wu album in my opinion.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Classic joint
Yes.
and everything like that too. Like sampling some theme song. I mean,
Hmm.
ODB was like the perfect cat for that song right there and shit too. You know what I'm saying? So that's my number five.
Oh, and that's a Quincy Jones sample too.
I forgot about that.
How ironic.
I,
We're doing the
I,
Quincy Jones samples tonight.
yeah,
So
I
yes,
forgot about that.
yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what? Fuck it. I might throw that on the list. I might.
Yes. Check that out on Regis channel tonight when we do that one.
Yes.
Number four, I'm gonna go with State Property. When you hear that, now this was at the time when ODB had got out of prison and he signed with Rockefeller. Dame Dash signed him, and people were pissed. And he never got a chance to release an album on Rockefeller, but he did manage to do some joints with them. And this was like my favorite joint that he did with the Rock. On the State Property Chain Gang album. This was released as a single as well, and that beat was fire. And he had you had also Beanie Sigel was on this, PD Crack was on this, and I like ODB's verse where he just like started saying woo woo woo, and shame on the nigga who tried to run game on the nigga who put restraints on the nigga. Woo
Mm.
bandana, I smoked Diana, fuck Joanna, she hot Louisiana. Loved his joint, so immediately out the gate, you already know like he still was repping Woo, even though he's on Rockefeller, and just a phenomenal verse. I think he was the highlight of that joint, and that's always been my favorite song from the Chain Gang album. I believe there's a video for this as well, and yeah, just a dope joint. So I have to include that on the list.
That's a dope joint right there too. My number four. I gotta go with Raekwon with North Star.
Ooh,
Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Technically, he just did background vocals,
right,
but one thing about me, I've always loved ODBs. I've always had a strange fascination when ODB does singing or background vocals
right.
and everything like that too. You know what I'm saying? To me, when it comes to his vocals, he's like the Ozzy Osbourne of vocals when it comes to hip hop. And I'm gonna say this right now because
Mm,
when people think Ozzy Osbourne, they don't always think, "Oh, he's a great singer." But
right,
Ozzy had some vocal pipes,
facts.
and ODB had some vocal pipes. You know,
Hmm.
especially if you get the single release of Cream with the
Right.
whoo.
Yes. Oh, that was him.
Yeah, that was him.
I always thought I was like Papa Wu or something.
I thought that was Method Man at first.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
man. But yeah, North Star, that's like one of my top three favorite tracks from Only Built for my Cuban Links. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? I mean, I always loved that the way he was just came in the song is like G.O.D's my reality. And it just gives me a very enchanting kind of feel to it. And that's my number four.
All right, now my number three is a song he was on, but you only hear him for like maybe a couple seconds. It was the SWV remix for anything and
Where's what which one?
anything SWV.
Oh, facts,
Yeah.
facts.
Now you hear Method Man and You God's voice, but ODB is also on it as well. But he didn't have like a long like regular 16 bars. He only said a couple lines. But Method Man, of course, he stole the show because he was like that dude from Wu. That's the anything joint was from the or Above the Rim soundtrack. I love the remix because it's took like two different versions, like a radio mix without them, and then there's the Wu mix, and I love the Wu mix, and you know um definitely a banger, and they there's a couple lines where they say another chapter from the Wu-Tang group. Take a look or a peek. Killer bees never sleep. Non-stop,
Mm.
put you on the chopping block. Unorthodox, added to the melting pot. I'm assuming that might be Method Man's verse, but somewhere in that verse they bunched in You God, Meth, and ODB, which I think was the wrong thing to do. I think it should have been like separate verses for each of them. But I just wanted to mention it. He was also on here. A lot of people don't know that he was on that remix, but that's always been one of my favorite remixes. So that's my number three.
That's a dope remix too.
Yeah, yeah,
My number three is the Alcoholics with Hip Hop Junkies.
yes. I forgot about
Um, yeah, this one is definitely one of the top ones I had to include
that.
when it came to ODB. I'm not the biggest Alcoholics fan. I mostly
Yeah,
like the first two albums. To me, that
yeah,
kind of put them with the Beat Nuts. But
yeah.
I would, if I had to pick a two, I'd probably listen to Alcoholics more than the Beat Nuts, just being real.
Right.
But that's another story for a different day.
Hmm.
I mean, with a song like Hip Hop Junkies or Junkies, you know ODB had to be on it. And I hate to say it though, but his unorthodox style was what really took it to a whole nother level with that track right there. And possibly that might be my favorite track on that. I think that came from Coast to Coast, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I want to say that was Coast. Yeah, I said it
Yeah.
was Coast to Coast.
Yeah, I need to get that album. That album is so hard to come by these
Wait a minute.
days.
Which was the third album? Was that Liquidation? It might have been on Liquidation.
You're right. You're hold on. Let me look it up.
Yeah,
Hold
because
on.
Coast to Coast had the Diamond D joint.
Right. It was
Yeah,
Liquidation. You're right about
Liquidation.
that.
Yeah,
But yeah, man. Definitely, I definitely need to get my hands on the first two, maybe three albums. So yeah,
right.
you're right about that. It did come out Liquidation,
Yeah.
and I think that's likely their most successful song on the
Wow,
rap charts too. So that should tell you something.
that's crazy.
Yeah, they weren't really a big crossover hit, Chris. Back
Yeah, I
then.
know. Dope, dope. All right, my number two is Funkmaster Flex, Nothing But Flavor. This came out in the '90s when Flex started doing his little mixtape albums, and this. I remember this joint. This was everywhere. You had Charlie Brown from LONS. You had ODB, and also another legend that we lost, Biz Markie, and the beat was fire. ODB had the second verse on here, and he said you slept on the record. Now it's time to break out like a 40 being cracked, tasting good down the neck. The lyric that I'm kicking to you from the crib, all in together now, funky like a shoe. Just it was in his zone on this. I want to say this came out in 95, 96, and Yeah, this is definitely. I love the piano. That piano sample on the record, and Funkmaster Flex when he was still a DJ and not a social media troll. He was killing it with the joints, and yeah, there's a video for this as well. And man, this has always been one of my favorites, man. Definitely a solid cut.
Ooh, definitely, I almost put that on the list too, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
I was like, because like Funk Master Flex, man, it's just I don't know.
Oh man. Yeah.
I respect his legacy, but I just feel like he's destroying his legacy too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
I agree.
All right. Number two for me is Mariah Carey with the Fantasy Remix. Now,
Whoa.
to many people, this might be their number one.
Uh-huh.
And this was so fucking close to being my number one too. But I'm just like, you know what?
Mhm.
Everyone knows this fucking track and shit like that too, you know what I'm saying? But with this track right here, the story with how this track came about to this day always is crazy. Like Mariah, of course, was a huge fan of the Woo. And it's funny because a lot of people want to say, oh, well, when she did the Bad Boy remixes, that crossed her over to hip hop. To me, no, 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 no. It was really when she did this fucking remix, like she crossed over to the hip hop crowd and everything like that. Too, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's nothing to say about the Honey remix. I love the Honey remix, all that glittery kind of shit. I love all that, but you know, and then the fact that ODB, it took like ODB hours to do his verse because he
Mhm.
slept doing his verse, and then he took his shoes off and his feet to take,
Oh
and
my
everybody had to
god.
leave the studio and stuff like that too. And then it gets better. So when they
Mhm.
were doing the video,
Uh-huh.
I think Tommy Mottola gave him his credit card to buy anything for the video.
Mhm.
ODB was just like, nah, fuck, I'm not gonna buy shit. I'm just gonna come back. He just came with the way he was and shit like that too.
Mhm.
And of course, the song became a classic the way it is
Yeah.
and shit like that too. Shout out to Celebrity Underrated for that story. I never knew about that story and everything like that too. But yeah, man, Fantasy Remix, fucking classic. You know what I'm saying? I mean, every time I hear that Tom Tom Club sample, I mean,
Mhm.
they used the best way, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yes. And my number one is Fantasy, Mariah Carey and ODB from the Daydream album. I remember buying this as a single back in the day, and just having them on the joint. Like he was like the biggest star next to Method Man from Wu at that time. Just
Right.
having doing this collab with Mariah, and the beat was fire. Like you said, mentioned the Tom Tom Club sample, already a classic song that they did, and Mariah flipped it, and damn Mariah, go back like babies with pacifiers, no dog, no liar, like crazy, crazy. And I remember Mariah Carey said that she I think he went to school with her, or she like I don't know something about he like they were like in classmates or she knew him like growing up, and I just
Yeah.
was like, yo, that was just an ill story to have like one of the biggest pop divas at that time in the '90s, knowing ODB was like considered like the wildest, craziest cat from Wu Tang, and but he had bars, and I think that to me really remix really opened the door for her to do other great remixes. The Heartbreaker remix, and she did the Thank God I Found You remix, and so many other remixes she had, or Always Be My Baby, and this to me has always been my favorite Mariah remix, and one of my favorite like hip hop soul remixes. And it was great. It was great. Just the I remember they were talking about the video shoot during the ODB documentary, and I think like it was his idea to like put the guy that was the clown like tie him up on the pole or whatever,
Right.
and he just wrecked havoc. I think they filmed when they filmed that was it not Donny Park? They filmed it at some amusement park,
Coney, I think
and
it was Coney.
Coney was it Coney Island? They
I heard
filmed
it
at
was
some
Coney
amusement
Island.
park, and they had a great time. You could tell they had a great time in the video, and he was dancing in the video. He was wearing a Tommy Hilfiger hockey jersey in the video, and it was dope. It was dope to see Mariah and the Wu Tang member together like that. So that's always been my favorite collab. When I was making this list, I'm like, yo, I gotta put the Fantasy remix number one. So
Definitely, that was almost my number one. But there was
Yeah.
one guest appearance.
Uh-huh.
To this day, I still bump to is Busta Rhymes the Wuha remix.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Definitely.
I mean, damn, this joint right here was fire as fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just ODB and Busta rapping and shit like that, just going crazy, like rapping like there's no tomorrow, rapping like there's rent due, and everything like that too. I mean,
Yeah.
they definitely killed this shit. I love the video. The video
Mhm.
towards that shit, and then the altered version of the woo hop, like that ding ding
Yes.
ding ding
Yes.
and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the Buster I fucking love,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I mean, we will never have that Buster again, unfortunately.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and then ODB, he definitely has some of his best lines on that one as well too. So
Yeah.
that's a fucking classic. That's a ODB guest appearance I never hear. That's a guest appearance, a remix I never hear no one talk about.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, that was definitely a classic joint. He got so many others that he's done stuff with Buddha Monk. He's done stuff with other group members, and But I was like, I wanted to include like some of the main ones, and like maybe like something that went under the radar. So
Right.
this is a great list. Rest in peace, ODB. 20 years, I can't believe it, yo. It seemed like just yesterday he passed away. You know what I mean? And damn, gone way too soon. If y'all didn't check out the ODB documentary, check it out. It's on streaming. I definitely enjoyed it. There were some things that I already knew about him, but like some little tidbits, like about the fantasy video shoot I didn't know about, and they talked with his friends and his family. That was good. So check that out. Rest in peace, ODB. He's a legend. Classic Wu album right here. Return 36 Chambers. One of my favorites, top 5 Wu solo albums ever. And this has been fun. So
Definitely.
thank you, Rich, as always. And we out.
No problem. Thanks for inviting me. Peace.
All right, man. Peace.